outrageous it is, then there's nothing to talk about, right? I mean, seriously, let's. Right. I'm sorry. Okay.
All right, let's wrap it up.
All right, that's it. So we got nothing. Let's see. Other topics are we've got the war on drugs. Should we talk about that a little bit?
Just in general,
Well,
like the whole thing.
How about John Sinclair?
talk about John Sinclair.
Only if Jeff sings the song later.
Well, we should talk about John Sinclair's topic regarding where it is in today's world. We should pull out that case and we should make sure that we can refer to some of the important aspects of it. I should do a couple of shout-outs while I'm thinking about it here. Do a Dewey, of course, and Pam. Dewey. Everybody needs a Dewey.
Dewey.
And Alan Peisner, who sometimes listens. But
Where is he?
Pretends like he doesn't.
He's a ghost.
He is a ghost.
He's a ghost.
Oh, he's a good team
Seen
player.
him in a while.
Team player.
We talked about the Mansour case last week. I don't know if it's worthy of mentioning again. I don't want to be too up in arms because
Nothing's really happened yet.
yeah, it has.
Really?
Stuff's happened.
Like what?
Well, for example, today in a case that we litigated for a long time, and I finally turned the judge onto the right position, and he ultimately dismissed a count in a marijuana case per Section 4, finding that the marijuana was not usable pursuant to Manuel, the case that found that usable marijuana does not count towards the 2.5.
Right.
And, of course, the Mansour case says that Manuel is no longer good law, and that count, which had been dismissed, leaving us with one count to defend, was now reinstated. Reinstated, Jim.
That's bad.
Okay, so nothing's happened. I'd say something's happened. However,
That's bad.
the court did grant us a stay, and we will be seeing y'all in the Supreme Court, as they like to say.
Yeah. When's the amicus brief getting filed?
You want to write one for that case? Because we're going to the Court of Appeals first, and then we're going straight to the Supreme Court because it's.
We
And
might as well.
we should talk about this a little bit too, because you know the hoopla that exists in this world regarding Manuel and not Manuel, but Mansour, and its slanderous remarks, slanderous, and relying upon and talking about the way they did of the Carruthers case, just total slanderous. They took that, and I mentioned that because today, few people know this, the Earl Carruthers case is still existing. In fact, both of them are. Case will not go away. And to Earl's credit, he's signed on to fight this thing to the death. He doesn't care anymore. He's got to, and he's just totally anything he can do. We're trying to undo that opinion. I don't even know there's a legal way to do that, but we do stand on the heels of being able to present a Section 8 defense to the jury, which is always a interesting phenomena because early on, when the law seemed to suggest, I mean, it's so crazy because like. I don't know, 6 years to get to this point where we can present a defense. Like 6 years or 8 years ago, if you would have told me like you can't get an affirmative defense, I'd be like, "What are you talking about?" It says it right there. What part about registered, unregistered caregivers shall have a defense to any charges involving marijuana? Don't we understand that 3.3 million people voted for? 8 years later, guy gets now he's got a defense. Like
you got wet marijuana.
No, but like that.
Give a fuck about
So-
usable. We want to know how much unusable.
That's right.
But we don't even need to deal with that in this Brownie case anymore because we have affirmative defense. Now we may deal with that. We may deal with that, and I'll come back to that in a second. But for all purposes, the whole thing from the very beginning was like, if you get the right to present it to the jury, and 85% of the population in Michigan is in favor of it, you got a good chance to win, right? You'd think so. And they don't want to be in that situation, and they've fought these cases to the death so they wouldn't be put there, to the extent where you couldn't even talk about it. So here we find ourselves, like the longest journey of all times, and, I mean, in the weirdest and rarest of all circumstances, which you will never find anywhere, as he stands still of the court's jurisdiction, arguably, he has already been sentenced and punished to the maximum. So if he goes convicted, if he violated his bond, they can't do anything. Like he's He's like, it's like
It's like a
Captain America. Like he gets like got a shield. Right. We're fighting for the conviction, though. That's really what it is, because the conviction still exists, and we go to. But anyway, so that's a weird and bizarre circumstance, and the fact that it's back, and the fact that it is the Carruthers case, from which the Federalist judges created a new element in the law, that be and a new term, which is unusable marijuana, doesn't exist in the law, and finding a punishment for it within that also didn't exist in the law.
Can't use it.
Thank God for those Federalists and their disdain for judicial activism. Ignoring the intention of the retroactive effect and admission that the legislature had failed to protect citizens from arrest. All right, so Carruthers is still alive. And anyways, that's got to give Earl some credit for
Yeah, he said.
it's in good shape. Good shape. He didn't realize it's a triathlon Ironman, you know. We just finished the swim.
Good thing he said.
All right, there's three.
We got
there's
the
more stages
bike
to
and the
go.
marathon stuff.
Right, running through the fire.
All right. And then, of course, I guess, do you guys mind if I just talk about my travels a little bit more? My problems, my issues, my legal.
Lay it out there.
Why don't we take
Hold on.
a quick break? Quick break.
That's fine.
I think it's
Does it-
it's
all right.
good for
All
everybody.
right, that's good. We can do this.
So we're gonna
Quick fat break.
jam out for a minute, and then when we come back,
Right.
I don't know what the hell's gonna happen, but it's gonna be crazy.
All right. So says Jim Powers. We'll be right back.
before that, I was weak, I was mad. Honey, I ain't never had nobody like you. And the times before that, well, I was crazy. I saw the dark side of the moon. And the stars in the sky, they never caught my eye. 'Cause I ain't never had nobody like you. I ain't never had nobody like you. Now it's just like A, B, C. Life's just like 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 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 yeah. I watched my old habits die and it was painful. Sometimes it's painful in the light of the truth. But you get me fast to the right. And I wanna thank you tonight. Honey, I ain't never had nobody like you.